What's up, y'all? Let's do this. Oh, hi guys. Welcome to Nicky's World. I'm Nicky, your host. Today, guys, we gotta talk about the leftist narrative, how these two stories got shot down and got buried by the liberal media because it didn't conform to their anti-gun narrative. So we gotta talk about that and many more. And then also, guys, we gotta talk about this article from Breitbart called The Empty Chairs at the Holidays. I want to give you my take on this and why there's always empty chairs at my table, okay? So before we go any further, guys, if you seriously, guys, love Nicky's World so much, guys, seriously, guys, please consider donating a cup of coffee for me, because for a price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and Cumberland Farms, y'all keep this podcast alive. Y'all help me curate more stories, more topics like this to talk about. I do accept Bitcoin donations. I am on Locals, guys, if you guys want to support and sponsor this podcast show, okay? If you guys love Nicky's World so much, please hit that like, subscribe, please give me a review, good, bad, and the ugly. And also, guys, if you guys love this episode, love the show and want to support this show, you guys can support this show through my affiliate links in the link in the description below and in the show's webpage as well. And finally, guys, before we get this show on the road, literally, guys, if you guys love this episode and any of my other episodes on Nicky's World, please consider sharing this across all the social media platforms that are out there today. Woo-wee. Woo. Alright, guys, alright. It's Monday. I'm on the way to work, so it's another dang Monday, and and as y'all know, guys, it's after the Thanksgiving holiday, so yeah, like that. I didn't podcast during the holidays, so normally, guys, I don't podcast during the holidays because, like me, I like to spend more time with my family. So I give the show a bit of vacation during the holidays because that way I can spend more time with the family, with my friends, and take in the world, okay? So that's why I don't podcast during the holidays. If you wonder why I don't do that, it's because I like to spend time with family, man. I like to get away from the internet, social media, and all the political bullshit that's been going on in this world, and instead focus on me and focus on the family, okay? Because me and the family are important. Without each other, I can't operate in the world. So that's why I always make an emphasis and make a point is to get away from social media as much as you can and emphasize on family and taking care of yourself. If you can't do those two things, then you can't operate in the world. Pretty much, guys. Alright? So, on with the show, guys. I do want to talk about these two incidents that happened during my Thanksgiving vacation week that I really wanted to get on the air and talk about, but then my better judgment said, just hold off till after the holidays and then podcast about it. So here I am now, guys, and I do want to talk about this. First off, let's all refresh ourselves this. We all know the liberal media will bury any story that doesn't fit their leftist narrative. Okay? Let's get that clear right there. The liberal media will bury any story out there that doesn't conform with their narrative of anti-gun, anti-male, and anti-Trump stance. They will bury the story in less than 2 seconds, like that. Give you an example, guys. The Colorado shooting at the Club Q in Colorado Springs, Colorado, like last week. Okay? The media came out saying, "Oh, it's a white male shooter shooting up, killing X number of people over this." Okay? Now, given the rule of wait until the facts come out 24 to 48 or 72 hours later, his lawyer comes out with a statement saying, "Oh, the Colorado mass shooter identifies as non-binary. The pronouns are they, them." Next thing you know, the liberal media buried the story faster than Hillary Clinton burying her illegal server. So pretty much, folks, the story got buried so much that these people clearly wanted to make this story disappear because it didn't conform with their narrative. Okay? And what are the narratives out there, folks? It's the anti-Trump, anti-gun, anti-white male. Simple as that. Didn't fit their narrative because the Colorado shooter identifies as non-binary and uses the pronouns they and them. And it's kind of funny when CNN tried to dismiss this dude's like pronouns, saying, "Oh, this is just a white male. It's not non-binary. It's not one of us." Basically, they wanted to bury the story because they didn't want to admit that it was going to blow up in their damn face. It is. So that's why the liberal media buried the story so much, because they knew it didn't fit their narrative. They knew that didn't fit their approved narrative of like anti-gun, trying to take away your Second Amendment rights and all this, and trying to say, "Oh, it's the white man's fault," or it's the Trump supporter, the evil MAGA supporters, or the evil conservatives. Yeah, the story got buried so fast that right now you probably don't hear any of it because the liberal media is not talking about it. But this is the funny part about this that I want to talk about, is that it's funny how the left says, "Oh, you have to affirm their gender. You have to affirm their sex. You have to affirm their gender identity. You have to call them by their proper pronouns." But when the Colorado shooter identifies as non-binary and uses pronouns they or them, they say their heads exploded because they don't know what to do. Okay, they don't know what to literally do. And it's kind of funny in all this, guys. It's kind of really funny because the fact that it was one of their own that did the shooting, and now their own community is trying to distance themselves from the shooter and trying to say, oh, this person's not non-binary, this person's not one of us. Gee, how convenient that is. It is so convenient that they want to pull that shit. It is. It is, guys. They want, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how the LGBTQ mafia and the liberal left all want to demand you to call them by their pronouns or call them by how they identify as. But when one of their own commits a crime, they go, oh, they're not one of us. They're not one of us. They're not one of us. Funny how these people want us to, how they demand that we call them by this and this and this, and if we don't call them by this and this and this, they cancel us, they dox us, they harass us, they bully us, they intimidate us. Funny. And then you wonder why we don't take these people seriously anymore. We don't. Because for me, how can I take these people seriously when they won't acknowledge this dude's like pronouns or what he what they identify as? But the minute that the shooter is part of their community, they distance, ostracize, they say, oh, the shooter is not part of our community, okay? Even the CNN reporter couldn't, like, have the balls to basically affirm the shooter's pronouns and identity. They couldn't. So they basically tried to dismiss it and say, oh, the shooter is not part of our community. Oh, the shooter is trying to identify like us so they can get leniency. I'm telling you this, leftists and LGBTQ cult members. You made the rule that we have to affirm and call them by their pronouns. Now you don't want to call the shooter by their pronouns and identity. Your rules, leftists. Your rules. You made the rules that you wanted to impose on society. Now you want to back out and say, oh no, that person's not one of us. That person is not one of us. Your rules. I'm stating the obvious here, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm stating the obvious. Your rules. You tell us that we have to affirm a person's gender identity, sexual orientation, and pronouns. That if we don't call them by their pronouns and all this shit, that it's literal violence, that it's a hate crime, that people should be doxxed, bullied, harassed, canceled because we don't call them by their pronouns or respect their gender identity. Your rules, leftists. Your rules. You made these rules. Now we're gonna hold you to the feet. We're gonna hold you accountable for it. We're gonna hold you to the same standard. Okay? We're gonna hold you to it. Because you know why? You said that we have to affirm that the shooter's gender identity and respect their pronouns. You said it, leftists. Now you want to backtrack and say, "Oh no, we don't respect their gender identity or pronouns." Your fucking rules, leftists. You made the rules. Now you gotta sleep in it. It's like the old saying: you made your bed. You gotta sleep in it. And it's the same thing with the Pottery Barn rule, folks. You broke it, you own it. So I'm sorry to say this. Leftists. You broke it. Now you gotta own it. Now you got to own up to it. Okay? Now you got to own up to it. Simple as that. You got to own up to the fact that the Colorado shooter identifies as non-binary and uses the pronouns they or them. You made the rules. People in the conservative didn't make those rules. We didn't make those rules. You did. You wanted to foist it onto society, saying that we have to affirm the person's like sexual orientation, gender identity, and all this stuff. You made the rules. We're not backtracking on this. No way. And it's kind of funny when you see on CNN that they had to bring a dude who claims to be a woman trying to say, oh, this shooter doesn't identify as one of us. This shooter's not one of us. Shouldn't that male identified trans be canceled? The one that came on CNN? Shouldn't they be canceled because they wouldn't affirm or call the Colorado shooter by their preferred pronouns? I'm asking for a friend here. Asking for a friend. You made the rules. You. It's like they say. You made your bed. Now you gotta sleep in it. Now you gotta sleep in it. Now you gotta own up to it. I'm sorry to say this. You made the rules. Now you gotta sleep in it. Because you're telling me, Nicky here, that I have to call the Colorado shooter by their preferred pronoun or affirm their gender identity, and if I don't, I get canceled, I get harassed, bullied, doxxed, and all this shit. You told us that we have to do it. You told us. And now you want to backtrack, and now you want to say like, oh, the shooter doesn't identify, the shooter's not non-binary, doesn't have pronouns. You told us if we didn't do it, we would get harassed, doxxed, bullied, canceled. And now you're doing the same thing and you're not getting the same treatment? Can I say this? Y'all are a bunch of fucking hypocrites here. Y'all really are. Because y'all are basically doing the double standard, double speak bullshit. Y'all really are, guys. I hate to say this. There's like double standards right here. It is. It's like 1 minute you tell everyone in society that you have to call them by their proper pronoun. You have to respect their gender identity. But then when you have a mass shooter in Colorado who identifies as non-binary and prefers to be called they or them, you're like going, oh, that shooter is not one of us. Oh, that shooter is not non-binary. Oh, that shooter is this and this. Because you know why? Because it doesn't fit your leftist narrative. It doesn't fit your narrative of anti-male, anti-gun, or even anti-Trump. It does not, ladies and gentlemen. It does not fit their narrative. Because the shooter, when after 72 hours of initial investigation, finds out the shooter is non-binary and their pronouns are they and them, the liberal media buries the story faster than Hillary Clinton burying her illegal server and destroying their phone. Pretty much, to me, guys, is just another example of how the left will use tragedies to further their agenda, to further their ideology. It pretty much is a classic example. And this is another classical example of how they will bury a story if it doesn't fit their narrative. And this is a good example of how the liberal media will bury the story in less than 2 seconds because it doesn't fit their anti-male, anti-Trump, anti-Republican, and anti-gun narrative. This is an example of them burying it, and burying it so well that people on the right can see that and go, look at it, man. Look at these people. It's a proven fact. They buried the story. They buried it because they know it didn't fit their narrative. It didn't fit their profile, and it didn't fit their anti-gun narrative. So that's why they buried the story, and they buried it so well that now the only thing coming out of it is from like conservative, Republican, and right-wing circles saying, look, this is an example of how the liberal media and the left and the LGBTQ mafia will bury a story if it doesn't fit their narrative. Simple as that. It is simple as that. But the other one I want to talk about, guys, excuse me for a moment, is that other shooting incident that happened in Chesapeake, Virginia, all in the same week, okay? And this happened at Walmart, all right? Same story. How the left will take a mass shooting and further their agenda of anti-gun, anti-white, and anti-Trump narrative. They'll try to say, oh, look, it's another mass shooting. We should take away people's right to own their guns and all this shit. Okay? And then the headlines at the initial read that, oh, another mass shooting in Chesapeake, Virginia. Several people died, including the gunman. Apply the rule of wait 72 hours for the facts to come out. When the police released more details, the shooter was what? Black? Had a history of mental health problems because he was bullied in the workplace. As soon as those facts came out, liberal media buried the story again, and they buried it so well that basically you don't hear a peep from what your liberal news sources on, say, what, CNN and like MSNBC or the Communist News Network from CNN. After the first initial like announcement of it, it was buried like that fast. It was buried so fast that after the police said the shooter was the shooter that died also is black, the media just buried the story and said, nope, we're going on to the next one. Just like the Colorado shooting incident. Minute the shooter turned out to be non-binary and uses the pronouns they or them, media buried that story real quick because they couldn't contort and try to blame Republicans, conservatives, gun owners, and all that shit. They couldn't contort, twist the story. They couldn't. So instead, ladies and gentlemen, they tried to go to the Chesapeake, Virginia shooting, and then again couldn't fit the couldn't contort, twist to fit their anti-gun, anti-Trump narrative. They couldn't. So you know what? They buried the story. And they buried it so damn well. They really did. They buried it so deep, so well, that now you don't hear a peep from it. You don't hear a peep from what? CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC. You don't hear a peep from the liberal media, not even from the Washington Compost and the failing New York Times. You don't. So the story got buried so badly that now it's like crickets. But the only way you'll hear it is on what? Conservative media outlets? Gee. Because the shooter in Chesapeake is black and not white, the media buries the story. The one in Colorado, the shooter identifies as non-binary and uses the pronouns they or them. The media buries it even further. What's the theme here in all this, ladies and gentlemen? What's the theme in all this? Is that the media and the left will use tragedies to try and push their anti-male, anti-Republican, anti-conservative, and anti-gun narrative. They will push that to no end. And they will use whatever tragedies that are out there to further their agenda. Pretty much, folks. Pretty much. So I have to say it like this, guys. The stories like this basically tell the tale of like the left trying to use tragedies to further their ideology. And to me, it's a classic example of how the left will use any tragedy out there to further their agenda. They will. It's a classic case of, oh, I'm going to use this tragedy so I can further my agenda of anti-gun, anti-Trump. Yeah, we know, dude. We know, and we see it every day. We see it. It's no dirty little secret that you hate conservatives, you hate Republicans, you hate Trump supporters, you hate gun owners. We see it. So it ain't no surprise to us, folks. It ain't. But I will say this. The media using tragedies to justify their anti-gun, but when it blows up in their damn face and when it doesn't fit their approved narrative, once you see how they bury this story, guys, you can never unsee this ever again. And whenever you see another tragedy like this pop up again, and you wait to find out whether it fits their narrative or not, you can never unsee this, guys. You can never, ever unsee this again. You'll every day for the rest of your life, like, spot, like, when the liberal media will bury the story, when they will hide the story, when they will even, guys, like, put the story down. You will never unsee this. The two examples I gave y'all in this podcast show, guys, are a classic example of how the left will try to use this tragedy to further their anti-gun narrative, but when it doesn't fit their narrative, it gets buried faster than Hillary Clinton burying her illegal server in Chappaqua, New York. Yeah. Once you see it, you can never unsee it. Yeah. You can never. Once you see it, it can never be unseen again. You can never unsee it. It's like every time you see another tragedy, another mass shooting, you'll be able to say, let's apply a 72-hour wait before we make some judgment on what really happened or what the shooter is all about. Simple as that. But the liberal media will bury this story faster than ever. And how they bury this should be a classic example and should be a constant reminder how the liberal media buries tragedies when it doesn't fit their approved narratives. They will bury this like you will never believe. Yeah, they will. Okay? But in any case, guys, I want to talk about this article from the Breitbart. And this article popped up during my Thanksgiving vacation. Okay? And I really wanted to talk about this on the show, but my family, my friends said, just wait till after the holidays and talk about it. So now I want to talk about this, okay? The article was like this, called The Blue State Blues, how the empty chairs have become like common during the holidays. The empty chairs have become empty because of political divide that is going on in this country. There is so much political and social divide that people are willing to exclude people. People are willing to like boycott people, like ban people over political differences, over differences of opinion on social, political issues. It's like, in the words of Rodney King, can we all just fucking get along? Really? Can we all just fucking get along? I mean, can we learn to agree and disagree like adults instead of acting like childish, immature idiots? Trying to say, oh, you can't come to our events, you can't come to our place because of your political differences, views, and opinions. Can we? Literally, can we just simply get along here? I would love to see y'all get along. I would love to see y'all, you know what I mean? I would love to see people just learn to agree and disagree despite our political differences, despite our, like, differences of opinion, despite our like, say, our, like, how we have, like, different opinions. It's funny how the left, they always love to preach about diversity, tolerance, inclusion, but the one thing they leave out is diversity of opinion, thoughts, views, and beliefs. They conveniently leave that out because they only believe in diversity as long as you agree with them. But when it comes to, like, diversity of opinions, views, beliefs, and thoughts, they exclude you over that. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, folks. It really is, folks. It is funny as hell that they would love to exclude you over that. That they would love to exclude you. I've seen it. I've seen it, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen it. Don't get me wrong. They will exclude you over that in less than 2 seconds. They will literally exclude you. That's why it's like this. That's why it's kind of, it makes me laugh. Makes me laugh at these people. That the left loves to preach about diversity, inclusion, and equality. But when they don't practice what they preach by being inclusive of people who have different opinions, where the fuck are they? Yeah. Where the fuck are they? it makes me like laugh at them. It really does. It makes me laugh. It really does. It really does, ladies and gentlemen. It makes me laugh. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It really does. But the one thing I want to say like this, guys, is that the left loves to preach diversity. Like, they love to preach inclusion. But the one thing is, they never practice what they preach. They never do. And it's really sad. It is really sad that they don't do what they say. And that's why it's like this. We have all these empty chairs during the holidays because these people can't learn to agree and disagree like grown adults. They can't. I mean, how can you agree with these people who are so adamant about this and this and this, and who are so divisive over this and this and this? How can you? How can you agree with these people? I certainly can't. I certainly won't. I mean, I can't seem to agree with these people who love to hate on you, who love to call you like bigot, homophobe, thisophobe, and all this, that. But then again, they like to bully you, name call you for voting things that they don't like. It's like, that's why we have empty chairs, and that's why I agree with the article. It's because we have immature adults who just can't seem to learn to agree and disagree, who were probably brought up on this mantra that, everybody has to agree with what I say. Everybody has to agree with my politics, my viewpoint, my this, and this. I don't know about y'all, man, but it just seems like people just can't learn to just be civil and be adult. And that's what we're losing. We're losing society because people can't learn to be an adult. People can't learn to agree and disagree. People just have to be so like defensive and divisive. I go like this. If you exclude people because you don't like their political or social opinions, viewpoints, and all this, must be lonely for y'all to just be in a circle among yourselves. Must be real fucking lonely for y'all. It must be, knowing that you're missing out on polite adult conversation and basically being able to have an adult conversation with one another and being able to agree and disagree on many topics and issues. It must suck for y'all. It must really suck. Yeah, it's gotta suck. It has to, man. It has to suck for y'all. But like I said, we have an era of people who want to act all high and mighty, but they just can't seem to get off their high horse and learn to agree and disagree with one another and learn to respect one another for their viewpoints and beliefs. Yeah. It must suck for the left. It's gotta suck like hell that you can't learn to agree and disagree with someone, that you can't learn to be able to talk to someone in polite conversation over political viewpoints, political opinions, and differences of opinions. It's gotta suck. It's gotta suck real badly, guys. It has to suck. Okay? It has to, man. It has to suck like shit. It really has to, ladies and gentlemen. Because I tell you this, man. It has to suck that people on the left are willing to exclude people based on differences of opinions and viewpoints and not learn to be respectful and be adult-like. Yeah, it has to suck. It has to suck like shit. It really does, man. It really does. I mean, there's no pun intended, but that is the reality of it, man. That is the reality. If they want to exclude you because, your opinions and viewpoints and all this, and then all of a sudden you have an empty chair at Thanksgiving because your friends won't come over because of your viewpoints and opinions, it's gotta suck. It's gotta suck like shit, man. It really has to suck. Yeah. I mean, seriously. And then you wonder why people like me see this for what it is that you want to be so divisive. You want to be so dividing. It's like, if Martin Luther King was ever alive and saw the shit going on in society, he would be throwing up like no tomorrow. And he would be going, I did not fight for this shit and have to see this shit today. Yeah. He would be pissed over the rhetoric that you guys are doing. He would be pissed. He would. He would, folks. He would. But believe me, guys, believe me. This is why we have empty chairs, because of the divisive rhetoric. The rhetoric is so divisive. Yeah. That's why we have empty chairs in this world. We have a divisive society. We have a society that's so divided that people just can't seem to get along. I'm pretty much clear on this one. I'm pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much, guys. But believe me, man. Believe me. The left being so divisive that causes a lot of people to have empty chairs during the holidays. I blame the left for this. I blame the left because they don't want to have adult conversation. They don't want to have a mature adult conversation and be able to say, hey, we know people are so divided over this. We know people are so divided. We know people are this and this and this because of this and this and this. We know. We really know. Or as they say, they're gonna know. Maybe these empty chairs are a sign, guys, that people need to stop being so divisive. People need to stop being so divisive over political and social issues. People just need to learn to have adult conversations, learn to agree and disagree, like grown-ups. And really, guys, they really need to learn to simply agree and disagree. They really need to. They gotta learn, because if they're gonna keep doing this, then we're gonna see a collapse of society. We're gonna see society collapsing onto itself. And is this something that the left wants? Is it? Is this something that the left really wants? Because if this is what they want, and this is what they're gonna get. Yeah. So that's why I want to say this, guys. I want to say this. They're gonna have to one day realize dividing people up all because of political and social differences is not working. It's not helping, and it's gonna make it worse than ever. It is. It is gonna make it so much worse that it ain't gonna work out. It isn't. So that's why I say this, guys. I say this. The divisive rhetoric needs to stop. It really needs to. It needs to end. And it needs to end like tomorrow. It really does. It really needs to end. Because this rhetoric is what's gonna ruin people. This rhetoric is what's really gonna hurt people and divide this country up further and further. It really is. It really is, guys. But believe me, folks. Believe me, man. I don't want to see a divided country any more than what it is right now. We just need to basically come together regardless of political, social opinions and just learn to agree and disagree. We really need to. We really need to, guys, because this divisiveness is not working. It's not helping. And it's doing more harm than good. Okay? So, anyway, guys, I'm here at work. I got to get ready to go to work. And I thank you guys for listening to Nicky's World. I'm Nicky, your host. I will see y'all soon. Bye for now. You just listened to an episode of Nicky's World. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.